The Great Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from hundreds of worlds sat in their assigned seats, waiting for the meeting to begin. Most of them looked scared. They had good reason to be. Ambassador Kim Hae-jin walked into the chamber with calm steps. Her black hair was pulled back in a simple style. She wore the dark blue uniform of the Terran Federation. Other delegates moved away from her as she passed. They whispered among themselves, shaking their heads. Everyone knew why they were here today. The Zeltharian Empire had called this emergency session. For 800 years, the Zeltharians had been the strongest military force in the galaxy. Their gray skin and red eyes made them look fierce. Their weapons made them deadly. No one ever said no to the Zeltharians. No one, except the humans. Kim took her seat in the human section. The chair next to her stayed empty. Earth had sent only one representative. This was either very brave or very stupid. Most delegates thought it was stupid. Chancellor Vexley called the meeting to order. His blue skin turned pale as he spoke. The Zeltharian Empire has requested this session to address the human occupation of the Orion Nebula sectors. Warlord Krexthar stood up. He was massive, even for a Zeltharian. Scars covered his arms from countless battles. His uniform displayed medals from wars across the galaxy. When he spoke, his voice filled the entire hall. For too long, humans have ignored Zeltharian authority, he said. You have built colonies in sectors that belong to us. You have refused our demands to leave. This ends now. Kim pulled out a small tablet and began taking notes. She looked like a student in a classroom, not a diplomat facing a death threat. This made Krexthar angry. Are you listening, human? He roared. Kim looked up with a polite smile. Of course, Warlord. Please continue. I want to make sure I understand everything correctly. Krexthar's red eyes burned brighter. The Terran Federation has 30 standard days to withdraw all human presence from the Orion sectors. All military ships. All colonies. All stations. Everything. And if we refuse? Kim asked. Her voice was calm and curious. Then we will remove you by force, Krexthar said. Our fleet contains 10,000 warships. Intelligence reports say humans have barely 500 ships. You cannot win this war. Delegates around the hall gasped. The numbers were terrifying. Some alien representatives fainted. Others began praying to their gods. Everyone knew what happened when the Zeltharians went to war. Complete destruction. No survivors. Kim continued writing on her tablet. 10,000 ships, she repeated. That is impressive. What classes of vessels? Krexthar smiled. He enjoyed showing off Zeltharian power. 4,000 destroyers, 3,000 cruisers, 2,000 battleships, 1,000 dreadnoughts. Each ship carries enough firepower to destroy a moon. Interesting, Kim said. She wrote down more notes. And your battle tactics? Do you prefer direct assault or siege warfare? The warlord laughed. Direct assault, of course. We strike hard and fast. Our enemies never have time to organize defense. Within hours, their fleets are space dust. Several delegates tried to interrupt. The ambassador from Regulus Prime stood up. Surely the humans will accept reasonable terms, he said. There is no shame in avoiding impossible odds. Kim turned to face the Regulus delegate. That is very kind of you to offer mediation, she said. But I think we need to hear all the details first. She turned back to Krexthar. You mentioned siege warfare. Do you surround enemy positions? When necessary, Krexthar said. We cut off supply lines, block escape routes, force surrender through starvation. Kim nodded and wrote more notes. And you prefer to attack which targets first? Military installations? Population centers? Krexthar's chest swelled with pride. We eliminate outer defenses first. Isolated colonies and outposts. This creates panic in the core systems. Then, we move toward the homeworld. By the time we reach the main fleet, The enemy is already broken. Very thorough, Kim said. And how long does this usually take? Depends on the enemy, Krexthar said. The Altarian Confederation lasted 2 months. The Vegan Alliance held out for 6 weeks. But they had real military forces. Humans? He laughed. 10 days. Maybe less. The hall fell silent. Even the translation devices stopped humming. Everyone stared at Kim, waiting for her response. She would surely beg for mercy now. She would offer tribute or hostages. She would do anything to avoid the coming slaughter. Kim closed her tablet and stood up. This has been very educational, she said. I need to consult with Earth before giving our official response. May I have 24 hours? Chancellor Vexley almost fell from his chair. You want time to consider? The terms are simple. Leave the Orion sectors or die. I understand, Kim said. But important decisions require proper consultation. 24 hours should be enough. Krexthar slammed his fist on his desk. The metal cracked under the impact. What is there to discuss? You are outnumbered 20-1. Your ships are weak. Your weapons are primitive. Accept reality. Kim gathered her papers with slow, careful movements. Reality can be surprising sometimes, she said. I will have our answer tomorrow. Fine, Krexthar snarled. 24 hours. But do not waste our time with pathetic counteroffers. The terms are final. Kim bowed politely to the Chancellor and walked toward the exit. Other delegates watched her leave. Some whispered prayers for humanity. Others shook their heads in sadness. The humans were about to become extinct, and their ambassador seemed completely calm about it. As the great doors closed behind Kim, the hall erupted in panicked conversations. Representatives began planning their own responses to Zeltharian expansion. If humans could be crushed so easily, who would be next? But Kim Haijin was not thinking about defeat. In her shuttle, she activated a secure communication link. Admiral Park, Minho, appeared on the screen. His weathered face showed no fear. Did you get all that? The Admiral asked. Kim smiled for the first time that day. Every word. Every tactical detail. They were foolish enough to share. They told us their fleet composition, their battle strategy, even their preferred attack patterns. Excellent, Park said. Send me everything. We have 23 hours to prepare our response. Already transmitting, Kim said. Admiral, they really think we only have 500 ships? Park's smile was cold as space. Let them keep thinking that. Tomorrow is going to be very interesting. 23 hours later, the Galactic Council Hall was packed. Word had spread across the galaxy about the human ultimatum. Representatives from every major world had come to witness history. They expected to see the surrender of the human race. Ambassador Kim Haejin entered the hall exactly on time. She carried only a small datapad. Her steps were as calm as the day before. This confused many delegates. They had expected to see a broken woman carrying terms of surrender. Chancellor Vexley's hands shook as he called the session to order. We are here to receive the human response to Zeltharian demands, he said. Warlord Krexthar stood in his place, arms crossed. His red eyes fixed on Kim with satisfaction. Have you brought your surrender terms? Human? Kim walked to the center of the hall. She looked around at hundreds of alien faces. All of them watched her with pity or fear. She activated her datapad and read from it. The Terran Federation has reviewed your ultimatum, she said. Her voice carried clearly through the silent hall. Our response is as follows. Every delegate leaned forward. This was the moment that would determine humanity's fate. Kim looked directly at Krexthar. Bring it on. The silence that followed was complete. No one spoke. No one moved. Even the air circulation systems seemed to stop working. Then, the hall exploded into chaos. What did she say? Screamed the delegate from Proxima Station. She cannot be serious, shouted another. Several representatives fainted, Others began making emergency calls to their homeworlds. The ambassador from the Rigel colonies started crying. Chancellor Vexley banged his ceremonial staff on the floor. Order! Order! Ambassador Kim, please clarify your statement. Kim waited for the noise to die down. Our response is clear. We reject your ultimatum completely. The Orion sectors remain under Terran protection. Krexthar's face turned dark purple. You refuse? You actually refuse? That is correct, Kim said. Are you insane? Krexthar roared. We have 10,000 ships. You have 500. This is not a war. It is extermination. Kim made another note on her datapad. Numbers are not everything, Warlord. Numbers are the only thing that matters in war, Krexthar said. What can 500 human ships do against our fleet? I suppose we will find out, Kim said. She looked thoughtful. When you attack, which system will you target first? Several delegates jumped up. Do not tell her, shouted one. She is gathering intelligence. But Krexthar laughed. What difference does it make? Let the humans know their fate. He turned to Kim with a cruel smile. We will start with your outer colonies. Kepler 442 first, then Ross 128, then Wolf 359. We will destroy each system completely before moving to the next. Systematic elimination, Kim said, writing more notes. Very efficient. How do you coordinate such large fleet movements? Our commanders use quantum communication networks, Krexthar said. Every ship receives orders instantly. Perfect coordination across thousands of light years. Kim nodded. And your supply lines? Such a large fleet must require enormous resources. We have supply depots throughout this sector, Krexthar said proudly. Fuel, ammunition, spare parts. Everything we need to sustain a long campaign. An intelligence officer next to Krexthar whispered in his ear. The warlord nodded. Our scouts report human fleet positions, he announced. Your ships are scattered. No central defense. No coordination. This will be easier than we thought. How unfortunate, Kim said. And your preferred attack formation? Standard Zeltharian battle wedge, Krexthar said. Heavy ships in the center. Fast attackers on the flanks. We have used this formation for 8 centuries. It has never failed. More whispers from intelligence officers. Maps appeared on holographic displays around the hall. Red dots showed Zeltharian fleet positions. Blue dots showed human ships. The difference was shocking. Look at this pathetic display, Krexthar said, pointing at the human positions. 12 ships defending Kepler 442. 20 ships at Ross 128. Your largest fleet has only 40 vessels. We could destroy each group before the others even know we are coming. Kim studied the displays with interest. Your intelligence network seems very thorough. How do you gather such detailed information? We have been watching human space for months, Krexthar said. Every ship movement, every communication, every defensive position. You have no secrets from us. The delegate from the Centauri Republic stood up desperately. Ambassador Kim, please reconsider. Your people will be extinct within days. Extinction is certainly possible, Kim agreed. But sometimes survival requires taking risks. This is not a risk, the delegate cried. This is suicide. Kim turned to Chancellor Vexley. May I ask a question about council procedures? Vexley blinked in confusion. What kind of question? If a council member commits genocide, are there any consequences? The hall fell silent again. Krexthar's eyes blazed. We do not commit genocide. We eliminate military threats. Including civilian colonies? Kim asked. Colonies that refuse evacuation become military targets, Krexthar said. Kim wrote this down carefully. So you will attack civilian populations. We will attack anyone who stands in our way, Krexthar shouted. This is war, not a diplomatic tea party. I understand, Kim said. She closed her data pad. Thank you for clarifying your intentions so thoroughly. Chancellor Vexley looked desperate. Ambassador Kim, as head of this council, I beg you to reconsider. The Terran Federation cannot win this conflict. Kim shouldered her small bag. Victory is not always about winning battles, Chancellor. Sometimes it is about choosing the right enemies. She walked toward the exit again. This time, no one whispered prayers. They were too shocked to speak. The human race was walking calmly toward total destruction. Wait, called the delegate from Vega Prime. What about negotiation? Surely some compromise is possible. Kim paused at the door. The time for negotiation ended when threats of genocide began, she said. Some lines cannot be crossed. Krexthar stood up. 30 days, human. You have 30 days before we begin your extermination. Kim turned back one last time. Actually, Warlord, you said 10 days earlier. Or was it less? Krexthar's face darkened. 10 days then. Your pathetic fleets will be space dust, and your worlds will be ash. Monder, your Comestadio. Your Comestadio. Munder, your Comestadio. Your Comestadio. We shall see, Kim said. She walked out of the hall. As the doors closed, Krexthar turned to his officers. Begin fleet mobilization immediately. I want every ship ready for combat within 48 hours. Yes, sir, his aide replied. Shall we maintain the 30-day timeline? Krexthar laughed coldly. Why wait? The humans want war. Let us give it to them. We attack in 10 days. He looked at the human fleet positions on the tactical display. So few ships, so poorly positioned, so easy to destroy. This will not even be a real battle, he said. It will be target practice. In her shuttle, Kim activated her communication system again. Admiral Park appeared on screen. How did it go? He asked. Better than expected, Kim said. They revealed their attack timeline. Primary targets, fleet composition, supply depot locations, and command structure. They also confirmed our deception is working perfectly. Park smiled grimly. Excellent. Are you ready for the next phase? All pieces are in position, Kim confirmed. When they attack Kepler 442, they will get quite a surprise. Good, Park said. Send word to all commands. Operation Underdog begins the moment they cross into human space. Kim's smile was cold as starlight. They think this will be target practice. It will be, Park agreed. Just not the kind they expect. Day 8 of the ultimatum arrived with deadly silence in the Kepler 442 system. The agricultural world of New Sol orbited its yellow star peacefully. Massive grain ships moved between orbital stations and the planet's surface. Everything looked normal and defenseless. Commander Lee Sujin stood on the bridge of her flagship, the TFS Indomitable. Through the viewing window, she could see 11 other human ships in loose formation around the planet. 12 ships total, just as Zeltharian intelligence had reported. Commander, her tactical officer reported. Long-range sensors detect massive hyperspace signatures approaching from the outer system. How many? Lee asked calmly. Preliminary count shows 2,400 ships, ma'am. Zeltharian. Battle wedge formation. Lee nodded. The numbers matched intelligence reports exactly. Warlord Krexthar was leading this assault personally. His massive flagship, the Death's Herald, was easy to identify on sensors. Signal all ships, Lee ordered. Begin retreat protocol. Make it look panicked. Across the human formation, ships suddenly broke away from their defensive positions. They moved toward the planet in apparent disorder. Some ships broadcast fake distress signals. Others sent scrambled evacuation requests to the surface. On the Death's Herald, Krexthar watched the human retreat with satisfaction. Look at them run, he said to his bridge crew. They cannot even maintain formation under pressure. His tactical officer studied the sensor readings. Sir, human ships are moving toward planetary orbit. Should we pursue immediately? No, Krexthar said. Let them think they have time to evacuate. We will trap them against their own world. More dramatic that way. The Zeltharian fleet advanced steadily. 2,400 warships, moving in perfect formation. Their wedge shape stretched across hundreds of kilometers. Each ship bristled with weapons capable of destroying cities. Commander Lee watched the approaching armada on her tactical display. Distance to enemy fleet? 40 million kilometers and closing, her navigator reported. Perfect, Lee said. She activated her communication system. All units, this is indomitable. Execute Protocol 7. Repeat. Protocol 7 is active. The order went out on quantum channels across the entire system. For several seconds, nothing seemed to change. Human ships continued their retreat toward New Sol. The Zeltharian fleet continued its advance. Then everything changed at once. What had appeared to be empty space suddenly filled with human ships. Hundreds of vessels decloaked simultaneously. They had been hiding behind asteroids, inside nebula clouds, and in the shadows of gas giant moons. Advanced stealth technology had made them invisible to Zeltharian sensors. The massive cargo ships near New Sol transformed before Zeltharian eyes. Their hull panels fell away, revealing hidden weapon systems. Grain haulers became battleships. Transport vessels became carriers. Mining platforms became orbital defense stations. Impossible, Krexthar roared on his bridge. Where did they come from? His sensor officer was frantically checking readings. Sir, I count 800 human vessels, now active in system. How did we miss them? More ships continued to appear. The asteroid field near the fourth planet dissolved as camouflaged human vessels powered up their engines. A damaged human destroyer that had been drifting for days suddenly came alive with weapon signatures. Commander Lee smiled as she watched Zeltharian confusion on her screens. All ships. Target enemy formation. Fire at will. The human fleet opened fire as one. Advanced plasma cannons sent streams of superheated energy across space. The weapons had been specifically designed to penetrate Zeltharian shields. Years of captured enemy technology had made this possible. Krexthar's fleet had been caught in the worst possible position. Their tight formation made them easy targets. Ships in the center could not maneuver without colliding with their neighbors. The neat battle wedge became a death trap. Shields are failing, reported a Zeltharian bridge officer. These weapons are cutting through our defenses like they do not exist. Return fire, Krexthar commanded. All ships, return fire. But the human fleet was already moving. Their ships were faster and more agile than Zeltharian intelligence had reported. They struck hard, then repositioned before enemy weapons could lock on. It was like fighting shadows. Commander Lee coordinated the battle from her position near New Sol. Group Alpha, target the enemy flagship. Group Beta, concentrate on their heavy cruisers. Group Charlie, sweep their flanks. Human tactics were flawless. Every ship knew exactly where to be and when. The seemingly panicked retreat had actually been a carefully planned repositioning. Now, the humans held every advantage. A Zeltharian battleship exploded in brilliant fire. Then, another. Human weapons were not just penetrating shields. They were causing catastrophic damage to ship systems. Zeltharian vessels were dying faster than they could respond. Sir, a panicked officer called to Krexthar. We have lost 400 ships. Enemy fire is too accurate. They know exactly where to hit us. Krexthar stared at his tactical display in shock. His perfect battle formation was collapsing. Human ships swarmed around his fleet like angry insects. Every shot they fired found its target. How are they coordinating this? He demanded. Our intelligence said humans had no central command structure. His communication officer looked up with wide eyes. Sir, they are using quantum entanglement networks, just like ours. But their encryption is unbreakable. Another wave of human ships appeared from behind New Sol's moon. These were clearly military vessels, sleek, fast, and deadly. They had been hiding in the planet's shadow, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Commander Lee opened a general communication channel. Zeltharian Fleet. This is Commander Lee Soo-jin of the Terran Federation Navy. You are surrounded and outgunned. Surrender now, and your remaining crews will be spared. Krexthar's face turned purple with rage. Never. All ships, emergency dispersal, break formation and attack individually. But the human trap was complete. As Zeltharian ships tried to scatter, they found human vessels waiting at every escape route. The humans had predicted this move and positioned accordingly. Sir, Krexthar's tactical officer reported quietly, we have lost over half our fleet. Enemy casualties appear minimal. How is that possible? Krexthar demanded. Their ships are using technology we have never seen before, the officer replied. Advanced armor, superior weapons, perfect coordination. Sir, I think we have been deceived about human capabilities. More Zeltharian ships died under precise human fire. The Death's Herald shuddered as plasma bolts struck its hull. Even the mighty flagship was taking damage. Commander Lee watched the battle with professional satisfaction. Years of preparation were paying off. Every human ship performed exactly as trained. Every weapon system worked flawlessly. Ma'am, her communication officer reported, we are receiving surrender requests from multiple Zeltharian vessels. Accept all surrenders, Lee ordered. Provide coordinates for safe zones. And get medical ships ready. There will be survivors who need help. On the Death's Herald, alarms blared throughout the ship. His officers stared at him, waiting for orders. Sir, his aide whispered, perhaps we should withdraw. Regroup with the main fleet. Krexthar nodded slowly. This battle was lost. But how had it happened? His intelligence had been perfect. Human fleet, strength, positions, capabilities, everything had been confirmed by multiple sources. Signal general retreat, he ordered. All remaining ships, emergency jump to rally point 7. The surviving Zeltharian vessels began jumping to hyperspace. Many were too damaged to make the jump successfully. Others were destroyed by human fire before they could escape. In the end, less than 800 Zeltharian ships escaped from Kepler 442. Over 1,600 had been destroyed or captured. The most powerful military force in the galaxy had suffered its worst defeat in centuries. Commander Lee received damage reports from her fleet. Casualties? She asked. 17 ships damaged, ma'am. No ships lost. Total crew casualties are 43 wounded, none killed. Lee nodded with satisfaction. Signal Admiral Park. Phase 1 complete. Enemy fleet neutralized with minimal friendly losses. As the last Zeltharian ship jumped away, Lee looked out at the debris field that had once been an invasion fleet. Send rescue ships for enemy survivors, she ordered. And prepare detailed battle reports for Fleet Command. Her tactical officer shook his head in amazement. Ma'am, they never had a chance, did they? Lee smiled grimly. That was the idea, Lieutenant. When someone threatens to exterminate your species, you do not give them a fair fight. In hyperspace, fleeing toward Zeltharian territory, Krexthar sat in his command chair and stared at empty space. His aide approached cautiously. Sir, your orders? Krexthar's voice was barely a whisper. What if they have been planning this war longer than we thought? The news spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. The Zeltharian Empire, undefeated for 8 centuries, had suffered a crushing defeat. Their invasion fleet was destroyed. Their warlord was in retreat. The impossible had happened. In emergency sessions across 1,000 worlds, alien governments tried to understand what they had witnessed. The humans had not just won a battle. They had completely destroyed a superior enemy force. How was this possible? Warlord Krexthar reached Rally Point 7 with the broken remnants of his fleet. The secret base was hidden in an empty star system, far from any inhabited worlds. It should have been safe. It should have been secure. But when his ships dropped out of hyperspace, human vessels were already waiting. Impossible, Krexthar whispered as he stared at the tactical display. 300 human ships floated in perfect formation around the rally point. They had arrived first, somehow knowing exactly where the Zeltharian fleet would retreat. Commander Cho Jin-woo stood on the bridge of his stealth destroyer, the Shadow Strike. His ship had been monitoring Rally Point 7 for 3 months, waiting for this moment. Around him, other human vessels prepared for combat. Zeltharian fleet has arrived, his sensor officer reported. 812 vessels. Many damaged. Signal the fleet, Cho ordered. Execute Operation Cleanup. All ships, weapons free. The human attack began immediately. But this was not the massive ambush of Kepler 442. This was surgical, precise, and devastating. Human ships moved with perfect coordination, targeting specific Zeltharian vessels with overwhelming firepower. Krexthar's communication system crackled to life. Admiral Park Min-ho's weathered face appeared on the main screen. The human admiral looked calm and professional. "Warlord Krexthar," Park said. "I am Admiral Park of the Terran Federation Navy. We need to talk." "How?" Krexthar demanded. "How are you here? This location is classified at the highest levels." Park smiled coldly. "We have been studying you for 50 years, Warlord. Every patrol route, every supply depot, every secret base. Did you really think we would miss your primary rally point?" Around Rally Point 7, human ships continued their systematic destruction of the Zeltharian fleet. But they were not simply killing everything that moved. Damaged ships were being boarded. Crew members were being rescued. Valuable intelligence was being captured. 50 years? Krexthar's voice cracked. "Impossible. We would have detected your spies." "You did detect some of them," Park admitted. "We lost many good people over the decades. But for every spy you caught, 10 others remained hidden. Your empire is riddled with human agents." As if to prove his point, several Zeltharian ships in Krexthar's own fleet suddenly stopped firing. Their weapon systems powered down. Their shields dropped. Human boarding parties moved in to secure the vessels. "Those ships have been under our control for months," Park explained. "Their crews were replaced with our people. Even some of your own officers work for us now." Krexthar looked around his bridge with new suspicion. Which of his trusted officers might be human spies? How deep did the infiltration go? On his tactical screen, the battle was clearly lost. Human ships were faster, better armed, and perfectly coordinated. More importantly, they seemed to know Zeltharian tactics better than the Zeltharians themselves. "This is not possible," Krexthar said. "Our intelligence showed human fleets scattered and weak. Your intelligence showed exactly what we wanted it to show," Park replied. "Every sensor reading, every communication intercept, every spy report, all carefully crafted to make you overconfident." Captain Younghae-won piloted her stealth ship through the battlefield, hunting for high-value targets. Her vessel, the Whisper, was invisible to Zeltharian sensors. She had been tracking enemy command ships for hours, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. "Target acquired," her weapons officer reported. "Zeltharian intelligence vessel, heavily shielded." "Take it out," Jung ordered. "Command wants their database intact if possible." The Whisper fired a single, precise shot. The Zeltharian ship's shields collapsed, and its engines went dead. Human Marines immediately moved in to board and secure the vessel. Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Human fleets appeared at every Zeltharian rally point, supply depot, and communication station. The attacks were not random. They were part of a coordinated campaign to dismantle the entire Zeltharian war machine. In the Vega system, Commander Kim Min-jun led an assault on the Empire's largest fuel depot. His ships emerged from hyperspace to find Zeltharian defenders already waiting, but the defense was weak and disorganized. "Sir," his intelligence officer reported, "enemy communications are in chaos. They are receiving contradictory orders from multiple command centers." Kim smiled. "That is because half their command centers are under our control now. Proceed with the mission." The fuel depot was captured within hours. Without it, Zeltharian fleets throughout the sector would be stranded, unable to refuel, unable to continue fighting. Back at Rally Point 7, Krexthar's situation grew more desperate by the minute. His remaining ships were being systematically destroyed or captured. His crew was beginning to panic. "Admiral Park," he called on the communication channel. "What do you want from us?" "Unconditional surrender," Park replied simply. "Your empire's expansion ends today. Your military forces will be disbanded. Your subject worlds will be freed. And if I refuse?" Park's expression did not change. "Then we will continue this hunt until every Zeltharian warship is space debris. Your choice." Krexthar looked at his tactical display. Less than 200 ships remained operational. They were surrounded by superior human forces. Escape was impossible. "How long have you been planning this?" he asked quietly. "Since the moment we learned we were not alone in the universe," Park answered. "Did you really think a species that survived nuclear weapons, climate change, and resource wars would not prepare for galactic threats?" On distant worlds, alien leaders watched the news broadcasts with growing amazement. The Terran Federation was not just defeating the Zeltharian Empire. They were systematically dismantling it piece by piece. The Altarian Confederation, enslaved by Zeltharians for decades, began celebrating in the streets. Their oppressors were being crushed by the humans they had mocked. The Vegan Alliance sent secret messages to human commands, offering intelligence about Zeltharian positions. They wanted to help finish what humanity had started. Even species that had never heard of humans began sending diplomatic messages to Earth. Everyone wanted to be on the winning side of this war. In his private chambers, Krexthar received reports from across his crumbling empire. Human fleets had appeared at 17 different systems simultaneously. Supply lines were cut. Communication networks were compromised. Military commands were in chaos. "Sir," his aide reported, "we have lost contact with the 4th Fleet. The 7th Fleet reports they are surrounded. The Home Fleet is requesting immediate reinforcement." Krexthar closed his eyes. His empire was dying, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. "Sir?" the aide prompted. "Signal Admiral Park," Krexthar said quietly. "Tell him I wish to discuss terms." On the human flagship, Admiral Park received the surrender request with professional satisfaction. This was exactly how the war was supposed to end, with overwhelming victory and minimal human casualties. "Signal all fleets," he ordered. "Maintain pressure, but accept all surrender requests. The galaxy is watching us. We must show that humans are merciful in victory." Park opened a new communication channel to Earth. Ambassador Kim Hae-jin appeared on the screen, now back at Terran Federation headquarters. "Admiral," she said, "how goes the campaign?" "Zeltharian military resistance is collapsing," Park reported. "We should have complete victory within 72 hours. Casualties remain minimal on our side." Kim nodded with satisfaction. "The galaxy is already sending diplomatic messages. Everyone wants to know how we achieved this victory." "What should I tell them?" Kim smiled. "Tell them the truth. When someone threatens to exterminate your species, you do not give them a fair fight. You give them a lesson they will never forget. Around Rally Point 7, the last Zeltharian ships powered down their weapons. The greatest military empire in galactic history had fallen in less than 2 weeks. The humans had kept their promise. They had brought it on, and they had won. 3 days after the surrender of Rally Point 7, Ambassador Kim Hee-jin stood outside the gates of Zelthar Prime. The capital world of the Zeltharian Empire looked nothing like the mighty fortress it had once been. Human ships maintained a peaceful blockade in orbit, but they were not attacking. They were simply waiting. The siege had lasted only 3 days. Not a single shot had been fired. The human fleet commander had broadcast a simple message to the planet. We are here to accept your surrender, not to destroy your world. Now Kim walked alone through the empty streets of the capital city. She carried no weapons, no guards, only a small medical kit and a datapad containing peace terms. Her shuttle had landed in the main square, and she had walked the rest of the way to the government building. Zeltharian civilians watched her from doorways and windows. They had expected brutal occupation, mass executions, the complete destruction of their civilization. Instead, they saw one human woman walking calmly through their city, offering medical aid to anyone who needed it. Warlord Krexthar waited in his office at the top of the Imperial Tower. His uniform was torn and dirty. His once proud bearing was broken. When Kim entered, he did not even look up from his desk. I expected an army, he said quietly. Armies are for conquest, Kim replied. I am here for peace. She placed the medical kit on his desk. These are supplies for your wounded soldiers. Our doctors are ready to help if you need them. Krexthar stared at the kit in confusion. Why? Because they are hurt, Kim said simply. Wounded people need medical care, regardless of which side they fought on. She sat down across from him and opened her datapad. Now, let us discuss terms. No. Krexthar finally looked up. What are your demands? Total submission? Slave labor? The execution of all military leaders? Kim shook her head. Complete disarmament of all military forces. Reparations to worlds damaged by Zeltharian expansion. Free elections on all subject planets. And the establishment of a galactic peacekeeping force to prevent future wars. That is all? Krexthar asked, suspicious. We did not fight this war to rule you, Kim explained. We fought it to stop you from ruling others. For the first time since his defeat, Krexthar looked directly at her. You could take everything. Our technology, our resources, our people as slaves. Why do you offer mercy? Kim considered the question carefully. Because mercy is what separates civilization from barbarism. Your empire conquered through fear and violence. Ours will grow through cooperation and mutual benefit. Outside the tower, human medical ships were landing in the city squares. Doctors and nurses emerged to help Zeltharian wounded. They worked alongside local medical staff, sharing supplies and knowledge. No one asked which side the patients had fought on. How long have you been planning this? Krexthar asked. The real plan, not just the military campaign. Kim smiled. Since the moment we learned we were not alone in the universe. Did you really think a species that survived nuclear weapons and climate change would not prepare for galactic threats? But we did not just prepare for war. We prepared for peace. She activated her datapad and showed him detailed plans. Human colonies throughout the galaxy were not just military outposts. They were research stations, diplomatic centers, and cultural exchange points. Every world we settled was chosen to facilitate cooperation between species. The plans were remarkable in their scope. Humans had not simply built a secret military force. They had constructed an entire framework for galactic civilization. Trade networks, communication systems, educational exchanges, scientific collaborations. Everything needed to build a peaceful galaxy. Your merchant ships, Krexthar realized, They were not just gathering intelligence. They were building relationships, Kim confirmed. Every trade agreement, every cultural exchange, every scientific collaboration, all preparation for this moment. Krexthar studied the plans with growing amazement. You created an entire shadow government for the galaxy. We created an alternative, Kim corrected. A choice between conquest and cooperation. Between empire and alliance. Through the office windows, they could see human and Zeltharian workers already beginning joint repair projects. The humans had brought construction equipment and engineering expertise. The Zeltharians provided local knowledge and labor. Together, they were fixing the damage caused by the war. What happens to me? Krexthar asked. Kim looked at him thoughtfully. What do you want to happen? I want to understand, he said. I want to understand how we were so completely defeated. How you planned something this complex without us detecting it. How you convinced so many species to work together. Then work with us, Kim offered. Help us build something better than either of our empires could create alone. Your military experience could be valuable in creating an effective peacekeeping force. Krexthar stared at her in shock. You would trust me with such responsibility? Trust is earned through actions, not words, Kim said. But everyone deserves a chance to choose their future. Over the following weeks, the transformation of the galaxy accelerated beyond anyone's expectations. Species that had been enemies for centuries began working together. The Altarian Confederation and the Vegan Alliance signed their first peace treaty in 400 years, with human mediators helping to negotiate the terms. The Galactic Council reconvened in emergency session to address the new reality. Chancellor Vexley called for recognition of the Terran Federation as the galaxy's primary peacekeeping authority. The vote was unanimous. Ambassador Kim addressed the council from the same podium where she had received the Zeltharian ultimatum just weeks before. We stand at a crossroads, she said. We can continue the old ways of conquest and empire, or we can build something new together. She gestured to the viewing windows, where human and alien ships worked side by side. Look around you. Former enemies are now allies. Conquerors have become protectors. This is not human victory. This is galactic victory. The response was overwhelming. Species after species rose to pledge their support for the new galactic alliance. Trade agreements were signed. Defense pacts were negotiated. Scientific research partnerships were established. But the most remarkable moment came when Warlord Krexthar himself addressed the council. He wore the simple uniform of a galactic peacekeeping force security consultant. His voice was steady and clear. I have spent my life believing that strength comes from domination, he said. The humans have taught me that true strength comes from protection, from choosing to help rather than harm, from building rather than destroying. He looked directly at Kim. They defeated us completely, then offered us partnership. They showed mercy when they could have shown vengeance. This is a lesson my people will never forget. Wah. 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 6 months later, Kim stood in her office on Earth, completing her final report on the galactic crisis. Through her window, she could see ships from dozens of worlds docked at Luna Station. Humans, Zeltharians, Altarians, vegans, and countless other species working together. Admiral Park entered with a cup of tea. How does it feel to have saved the galaxy? Kim laughed. We did not save the galaxy, Admiral. We just showed it a better path. Think the peace will last? As long as good people are willing to stand up to bullies, Kim said. And as long as we remember that mercy is stronger than vengeance. She turned to her final report and typed the last sentence. The Galactic Empire issued a warning. The human fleet chuckled in defiance. And the galaxy learned that when humans laugh at threats, it is not because they are unprepared, it is because they have already won. Outside her window, children from a dozen different worlds played together in the station's parks. Former enemies shared meals in the diplomatic quarters. Scientists from across the galaxy collaborated on projects that would benefit everyone. The old galaxy of empires and conquest was gone forever. In its place stood something new. A galaxy where strength meant protection, where power meant responsibility, and where different species could work together toward a common future. Kim saved her report and closed her datapad. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities to build and protect the peace they had all worked so hard to create. But tonight, she could rest, knowing that humanity had chosen the right path. When threatened with extinction, they had not chosen revenge. They had chosen hope. And that choice had changed everything. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly as it should be.